It's a feature Friday here on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. Thanks for joining us as always, as we like to set this time aside every Friday to tell the stories of people doing amazing things in Kansas City and around the country. And in this case, we are happy to welcome on and say good morning to Patrick McGarry, who is set to embark on a 3,000-mile bike ride across this country to support the great organization that is Tunnels to Towers. It's an amazing organization that my late uncle helped get off the ground, and Patrick McGarry happens to be a lifelong friend of my father-in-law, so small world. Tunnels to Towers, of course, is dedicated to supporting the families of fallen first responders and veterans. You probably see them all over social media, and they're big on Fox as well. Patrick is starting in Southern California. He is ending in Florida, and he's joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio. Patrick, I want to start with your story that goes back to the 1993 attacks on the World Trade Center. We'll go through 9/11. You sadly lost your sister on that fateful day nearly 25 years ago. But take us back to 1993, where you were and what happened on that day when that first attack took place on the World Trade Center.
Hey, Pete, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show, and appreciate the opportunity to speak and to share my story. I began my career on Wall Street in 1986. I had graduated from Fairfield University, and I landed a gig in the U.S. Treasury bond market, marketing Treasury securities to institutional clients around the world for a company called Yamaichi International, and we were on the 96th floor of the World Trade Center. And it was really a spectacular place to work. I used to tell my friends, I worked in the clouds in downtown Manhattan because I truly did. And, the ability to see an early morning sunrise or stay late to see a sunset, it was just the premier real estate in the world at the moment at that time. So I had been there a number of years, and on February 26, 1993, I was born on leap year, so unbeknownst to me, I wasn't having a birthday that year, but a couple of the guys on my desk had gone downstairs to get me a birthday cake, and I was up on the floor, and it was 12:16 on February 26, 1993. It was a cold, snowy February afternoon, and I was sitting against the window with a settlement analyst going over a bond trade that I had done earlier in the week. And that was the moment that my life changed, and in a way that I did not know immediately. A 1,400-pound nitrate hydrogen gas bomb went off in the garage of the World Trade Center. And the purpose was to bring the North Tower crashing into the South Tower. And, just life can change in a second, and it did, because when you're up that high and the building moves and shakes, and then we started getting smoke in the office, and it was a long afternoon. We didn't have cell phones. We didn't have we had a Bloomberg machine, so we were getting some headlines, but nobody knew what happened. So that kind of made it really made it a little bit scarier. We tried to walk down the stairs and we could not. It wasn't intense smoke, but it was enough to make you go to the bathroom, take off your t-shirt, wet it, put it over your face. There was panic in the stairwells. We tried to go down. We realized that wasn't going to work. And I remember calling my dad. There was a fax machine that had a phone, and I called my father, and I just remember telling him to please tell everyone I love him. I'm sure I'm going to be okay, but just in case. And we wound up getting out at 6:00. And but like I said, it was a day that had long-term effects on me in ways that it was going to take a while for me to understand.
So fast forward, 8.5 years later, and obviously the unimaginable happens after the bombing in 93 when you're in the World Trade Center, to September 11, 2001, when this country lost 3,000 Americans. And at that point, you're no longer working in New York City. And on the morning of September 11th, as I've read your story here, you are in Montana coming off of a fly fishing trip, but your sister is in the World Trade Center on that fateful day. What, as you look back on that day, that morning in particular, what do you think about and what was going on in your mind and your life?
Uh, so when I left New York after the first attack. I didn't want to go back into the building, and I kind of wandered around a little bit. Went to Chicago, worked at the Board of Trade for a year, went down to Fort Lauderdale, went back to Long Island to help my dad with his business, and then fortunately I found a new career in the energy trading business in St. Petersburg, and then I was in Jacksonville. So I had just been in this new job for about 6 months and or a year. And as you said, I was out in Montana with two of my best friends on a fly fishing trip, and we were scheduled to fly back home to our respective homes, me to Jacksonville that morning. And I got up early. We had been out late the night before. It was our last night together, so we were having a lot of fun. I got up early and I was outside around 7 o'clock. I went to get the newspaper, and there was the National Guard was outside. Now they had been there because they were helping with a forest fire of some type. But when I went out there, they were locking and loading their rifles. And I asked one of the men what was going on. He said, the United States is under attack. And at that point, I was, I didn't know what that meant. So I went back inside. There were about 10 people standing around a TV set. The South Tower had just been hit. And that's when the nightmare started. Um, you know, I saw what was going on, and I ran upstairs. I got my buddies, and we came back downstairs. For me, I was watching 1993 unfold again, and and we all called our parents. We told them that we were okay. We hadn't got on our flights. We sat down to have breakfast, and about 15 minutes later, I said to Brian, I want to call my parents back. My mom sounded kind of weird. She sounded a little distant, a little evasive. And, I called her back, and, that conversation, it's still hard to talk about, but she told me that, my sister Katie was visiting the building and that she was at Windows on the World. And I didn't believe it. Like, she worked in Connecticut. She had just started a new job, and it was tough. Um, she got there. She had just been married 5 months earlier, and she was with her husband, who worked for Lehman Brothers, on the 37th floor. So they were newlyweds, and she was really happy because she had a 10-minute commute to work that day. She was going to the premier place in New York for conferences, which was Windows on the World restaurant. She didn't have a long commute to Connecticut, and she and her husband went to work that day, and she got there 5 minutes before the plane hit. My mom told me what was going on, and the rest of the day was a blur. I mean, I watched on TV, and I still can't say it and believe it,
Mm-hmm.
that she was there. I watched the towers fall, and you know, life was never the same.
So when you think back to that moment and how it then inspires you to do what you're doing now as you get set to bike ride 3,000 miles across the country to benefit the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, how much of this for you is not just obviously raising money for a great organization? I mean, that's it seems like the easy part. What about the emotional side of this for you, the mental side of this for you, and how much 25 years ago is still incredibly relevant in what you're about to embark on, and how much that's going to be on your heart and your mind?
Um, I've asked other people this question. I mean, it does not seem like 25 years to me. It seems like yesterday, and I know that sounds cliche, but I've spoken to other people that have gone through it, and 25 years is almost irrelevant to me. It took many, many years to even be able to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I got
Mm-hmm.
married. I met my wife because of all of this. That's another long story, but I was blessed to meet the most important person in my life through this tragedy, and I had two sons, but I couldn't really talk to them about it. We took them to ground zero, and I decided to write about it. But at the end of the day, the long story short, I learned I had to let go of hate, I had to learn to forgive somebody that wasn't going to ask for forgiveness. And I wanted to remember her not for the horror of what happened, but I wanted to try to make something good out of all of this. And the work that Tunnel to Towers does is it's sacred to me. First responders and our military represent to me, they are the Michael Jordans, the superheroes of the United States. They're the best of the best. They run to danger when everyone else is running away from it. They stand with us at our worst moment. And I think we have, for me, an obligation to stand with them at their worst moment. And so I started coming up with this idea that this would be what a wonderful way to remember her. And I truly believe it's a thank you letter that my sister wants me to write on behalf of her towards these people for everything they have done, not just that day, but every day afterwards, and to turn pain into purpose. And last year of training for this, I'm not a bike rider by nature, but I've put in about 7,000 miles in the last 9 months. And every time I hit a wall, I think about what she went through that day. I think about why I'm doing it. And it really helps me get through this.
It really does sound like this is therapeutic for you as much as anything else, Patrick.
Um, yeah, I, I think so. I got married at 40. I had kids in my mid 40s. So I, want my boys to understand what happened,
Mm-hmm.
and that there's different ways to react to it. Um, I don't, I know that by writing about it, it helped me open up about it. I, I don't think, for me, I don't think grief never ends. It's just part of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the price of love, and I think it's okay. Like people would say, well, it's 25 years later, you should get past it, or maybe not that, but it's like you would think normally. I lost my dad 15 years ago, who was my best friend. Um, but he was, longer in life, and my sister was 30. She
Mm-hmm.
was, she was just, she was at the top.
Mm-hmm.
She was just starting out. So, for me, I'm just trying to do this on her behalf. This is not about me. This is about her. It's a great way to honor her. It's a way for my family and I to let her know that we love her, we remember her, and she will never be forgotten. And nor will the victims, my cousin John, my classmates, my childhood friends. There were just, Pete, there were too many that day. I went to a 60th retirement party in Morristown, New Jersey, a couple years ago. And at that party, I found out there was another person from Yamaichi I did not even know had passed that day. I just had stopped going to the funerals. It was overwhelming, and
Mm-hmm.
you just shut down. You shut
Yeah.
down for a while.
Grief is the price of love. That is a fantastic line. Patrick McGarry is joining us here on KCMO Talk Radio. He is set to start a bike ride that will go 3,000 miles. In San Diego is where he begins, goes through Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and then into Florida, where he will end this bike ride coming up in April. So for you, Patrick, as you get set to embark on this bike ride of a lifetime, and that's really what it is, and I know that this story is going to just get more media attention, so I'm glad that we're on the front end of your story because people in Kansas City, I think, are hearing about it before the rest of the country is going to hear about it. But what for you, as you mapped out this ride, how did you even begin to start mapping out this ride? What was that process like?
So, uh, my old CEO at my company at the Energy Authority here in Jacksonville, he did this ride 3 years ago when he was 77, and I'm going with a group of 12 other people. It's called Cycle of Life Adventures, and they handle the logistics. We get up and ride every day. Um, and so I'll be with 12 other people. I've met four of them from Ocala. The other night we had dinner. So they they map out the route. Typically, there's two ways to cross the country: either the northern tier, and that's usually San Francisco to Boston, and that is another 1,000 miles. And over two more mountain ranges. So I don't have that in me yet, and probably never.
That'll be
But
next year.
yeah, somebody said to me the other day, "Why the southern tier?" I said, "Well, it's 2,950 miles. It's in the spring, not the fall. So I don't even want to say this, but generally the winds blow west to east, uh, and it'll be a little bit cooler, so it should be better. And but you know what, Pete, this ride ends in St. Augustine, Florida. I live 30 miles from there. Every day that I train, I ride my bicycle from Ponte Vedra Beach to St. Augustine and back. It's about an 80-mile trip. And the fact that I'm riding home to my wife, my boys, my friends, everyone that has supported me.
Hmm.
It's powerful. I'm proud of. I love where I live. It's a small beach town, um, and coming back, having this end at home is going to be very, very special to me.
That's amazing. So, as you get set to do this, once again, it'll start on March the 7th. That's a Saturday. You'll wrap up on
Actually,
Monday, April 20th. So, is there a leg in this? Like, I'm sure you've studied this thing top to bottom. You know where you're staying every single day, how this is going to play out. Is there like a stretch of this thing that's harder than the rest? I mean, I imagine going through Phoenix with the sun and the desert is more difficult than Mississippi, maybe, but you tell me.
all right, there's a couple of ways to approach preparing, and let me just tell you that there's some people that I've met, and they have every day mapped out on their phone. They're looking at the elevation, the angles, where we're going to be, how long. Um, and I have what I did for my training. I downloaded each day of the ride onto the GPS, onto my Garmin Tach trainer. So I've actually been doing the days on the trainer bike, in addition to my road bike. So I have a good feel for it. There's one day, but for example, it takes us 3 weeks to cross Texas. Texas, I guess, is a big state. Uh, one day, one day we ride 114 miles, but I'm told that's actually an easier day than the first day, where we only ride 43 miles, but we leave San Diego, we're going straight uphill. And so here's how I approach it. I, you know, I always joke, Marianne and I, when we had our children, we didn't know what sex they were going to be. We just, it's like golf. You play it like it lies. And
Hmm.
I'm kind of a spontaneous person, and so it's one day at a time. I think getting through the first week will be the most difficult. The mountains, the cold. Um, with some of the training rides, to be honest with you, I feel more comfortable going uphill, going 2 or 3 miles an hour up these steep hills than I do doing 30 miles an hour screaming down a mountain. That's a little scary. So what I'm really focusing on for this ride is to stay safe, stay healthy. Um, I'm not, I won't be one of the faster riders. It's not a race. And really just to keep my mind on the mission, which was Katie, uh, remembering her, raising the money, and trying to honor her memory. So I'm trying not to look at it in totality. Most of the long distance rides I've done, I break them up into blocks of 20. Um, and it's a very, riding a bicycle is a very solitary act. So you really do a lot of talking to yourself. So
Hmm.
just trying to keep a positive mental state.
You an AirPod? You going to be listening to something, music or podcasts or something, or is it just going to be you and the sound of the wind in your ear?
So, all right, it's a huge no-no to have anything. It's actually illegal to have anything in your ear. Uh, However, that doesn't stop somebody from maybe putting a little speaker in front of your bike with, having some music. And I certainly do that. But you for safety, you want to um, keep your ears open. So I can't cover them. But I'm a huge music fan, massive music fan, of all types. And so I'll definitely have some. Uh, I'll definitely have some tunes going to get me through it.
Okay, so what song are you starting with, and what song are you going to cross the finish line in Florida with? That's what I'm dying to know.
All right, I have three songs picked out. Um, First one is "Roll Me Away" by Bob Seger. So, huge Bob Seger and Silver Bullet fan, and something uplifting, something that starts out, you know, slow, melodic storytelling and then just starts just rambling. Um, when we get into Texas, I'm probably going to be looking forward to the day that we're out of Texas.
Yeah.
And so for that day, I have chosen Leaving Texas by Jerry Jeff Walker.
Oh,
One of my troubadour, to me, the holy trinity of music in my house was Willie Nelson, Jimmy Buffett, and Jerry Jeff Walker. And I'll be playing that song. And, you know, probably definitely something from Rocky for the last day. And I think it would be Going the Distance by Bill Conti. Yeah,
I
that.
love it. I love it. That's fantastic. You've got three key parts of the trip mapped out music-wise already. I mean, that's fantastic. And whatever falls in line in between is just going to have to be, I guess. I mean, you can't lock down every song for this 3 or 5 week adventure you're about to go on. I want to ask you, Patrick McGarry's joining us. And by the way, we'll get all this stuff on our social media. The website, a ride to remember 2026.com is how you can read his story, donate as he gets set for a 3,000-mile bike ride across the country to support Tunnel to Towers. The moment that you decided, I'm going to do this, I imagine you've thought about this. You seem like the kind of guy that you say you're spontaneous, but I imagine you've thought about this for a while. What was the moment when you said, I'm doing it, and why did you decide in that moment you're doing this?
It was last April. I had been thinking about it a lot. I'd been riding my bicycle a lot during COVID, not long distance, but I was doing 30 miles every single day. It just became part of my routine. And as I said, when you're on a bike, there's a lot of thinking. I was definitely influenced by my friend Bob. He did it at 77. And I came in and I told my wife one day. I came back to the house around 9 o'clock. I woke her up. I was all sweaty, finished my ride. And, I told her what I wanted to do. And this is when you've married the right person. She immediately supported it. And she said, I know it's been in your heart for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I told her, why I wanted to do it. And then later that afternoon, I went. It's not that I'm really religious, but I love sitting in empty churches because you can think. And I thought about how I would map out the campaign and the strategy. And I don't know why, but I think my sister was talking to me and she told me I needed to call her old company. And, I think I've shared with you, I've reached out to so many people and for the best of intentions, sometimes you hear back, sometimes you don't. It was a Sunday night. I wrote 3 emails and I had not spoken to any of these people in 25 years. My last interaction with their company was in Stamford, Connecticut. And I went to clear out her desk 10 days after 9/11 with my brother-in-law, which is a tough place emotionally to return to. And they responded to my email immediately. I asked them to stand with me on the ride. And I think it was my sister. I think it was my sister talking to me that, she wanted me to do that. And, then I started telling family and friends. I got some weird reactions, especially from some of my sisters. I got the 20 seconds of silence. And I had to say, this isn't a midlife crisis. There's no sports car. There's no divorce. There's no affair. This is, I definitely do everything late in life. I got married at 40, MBA, kids at 42, and MBA at 55. But I'm like, no, I'm really gonna do this. And fortunately, having my wife in my corner immediately was everything, because that's really all you need. Because if she's happy, then I'm happy.
That's awesome. Patrick, we are so thrilled to be sharing this story. And you're right. There's no doubt in my mind. Your sister was talking to you that day almost a year ago now. And you are about to embark on literally the ride of a lifetime, figuratively and literally. And we are thrilled to be telling the story here in Kansas City. And we'll be following along as well. It's going to be a great ride. I can't wait to see how it plays out. And this story, I know it's going to get more traction. So we appreciate you being here, Patrick McGarry. And thanks for all you're doing for Tunnels to Towers. And we can't thank you enough for being here on the show.
Thank you, Pete. As I said, I really appreciate the time and helping share Katie's story. Thank you.
Go to the website, support him. It is a ride to remember 2026.com. That's where you can find him. and that's where you can learn all about Patrick's story as we want to help this thing go viral, get it all over the country, and make sure everybody knows about what he is doing as we do get set for that 25th anniversary of September the 11th. If you're joining us for the first time, whether it's on KCMO Talk Radio or on the podcast, make sure that you are subscribed on Apple or Spotify podcasts.